This week, in Ohio Country Today, we meet Ed Hill and our good friends at Dorothy Lane Market and discuss the resurgence of turkey red wheat here in the Buckeye State. And our good friend Richard Lynch and the Richard Lynch Band help us celebrate Veterans Day with his hit song, Love Tattoo. All that and more this week in Ohio Country Today. Allen Davis Insurance Agency in Wapakoneta and Minster is your solutions provider. You can trust the experienced professionals at Allen Davis Insurance to protect your assets. Call today and start saving money with multi-policy discounts and more for auto, home, life, business, recreational, total farm protection, and more. Call Allen Davis Insurance Agency in Wapakoneta and Minster. We are your solutions provider. Call 1-800-686-2148.
It's a humble idea. Use a biological process to turn a plant into a power source. From that idea came the first Poet Refinery. One biorefinery in one town turned into 27 facilities in 27 towns, creating new local jobs, producing hundreds of millions of gallons of ethanol, and providing renewable products around the world. Suddenly, that one little idea seems a whole lot bigger. See the world differently with Poet.
United Equity, Inc. is your locally owned farm-based cooperative. For agronomic services, we offer seed and a full line of dry and liquid fertilizer, as well as soil sampling by soil type, grid, or management zone to best utilize your fertilizer application. Call us to discuss agronomic services customized for you. Reach your best yields with United Equity, serving Allen, Auglaize, Mercer, Putnam, and Van Wert counties. Visit us on the web at unitedequityinc.com.
This is the cutting edge. It's an heirloom grain. It's not been messed with. You can trace it back to biblical times. It is not hybridized in any way. It's wheat as your body knows wheat to really be. It's unmessed with.
I am Edward Hill. I am who I am, and I love a challenge. In a sense, it began in 1991 with 300 seeds in a little test plot. I started thinking about how I was raised, and where I was raised by farm people. I was in a farm community. And I was just curious, like, here I live on a farm, what kind of grain, what kind of stuff did my dad and our uncles raise? Picked up a little book that was written for children. And it was about these Mennonites that left Russia as migrants to America. With them, they brought a language, they brought their skills, and they brought their turkey red hard winter wheat. And I'm thinking, I'm gonna get some of that wheat. And I had these big test plots. And then I met Dale Friesen.
I'm Dale Friesen, and I've enjoyed the turkey red wheat since I was a child. There's a hardback that tells of the Mennonites coming from Russia to Henderson, Nebraska. And that's where all of our people started out from. My great-grandmother and grandfather, my grandfather on my mother's side, before they came to America, they had their kids spread out the wheat and pick all the largest grains that were to come as seed wheat when they arrived in Nebraska.
Imagine his grandparents were little kids, 8, 9 years old, and they were part of this scampering to a new world because they had to leave.
I'm Jennifer Clark, and I am the Director of Coffee and Bakery Merchandising for Dorothy Lane Market. I ran into Ed in the store one day, and at the time I was asking about soft winter wheat. And so I started talking to him about it and said, well, since we can't grow wheat in this area for bread, then this is, the next best thing. I guess I'll have to settle for this. And he was like, well, wait. I think there actually is some wheat that would grow in this area that you can make bread from. And I was like, what? And so we sat and talked for like a half an hour, and he's like, I think I know a guy.
When you start talking to somebody whose relatives were in the middle of this storybook, it's like you kind of step back and let him do the talking.
When they landed in Nebraska, they went to the immigration house first. and then they would buy their land and start building their houses. And a lot of those houses were sod houses. And I remember sitting in a windowsill that was like 24 to 30 inches deep. And it was really nice in the house and warm, but you could look out and see the snowflakes coming down. My father farmed 1,000 acres, which at that time was just an average sized farm. The bread, growing up, we never thought of it as anything unusual because we had it all the time. Now when I think back, what a blessing it was to have all of that.
Listening to Dale talk about his childhood, and you could feel the emotions coming through of his memories, and for Dorothy Lane Market and the bakery at Dorothy Lane to be able to be a part of that and carry it on from so many years ago, it's pretty cool to us. My name is Scott Fox. I'm Vice President of Bakery Operations for Dorothy Lane Market. This whole thing, I was very skeptical from the beginning. I've been a baker for 35 years, and I've always been taught that good hard winter wheat had to come from out in the Plains states.
We typically, throughout the years, have just purchased already milled flour from a vendor, and you get it several times a week, and that's that.
I noticed that in Ohio, in 1912, there was like 7,100 acres or something like that grown in Ohio. I'm going, you can grow it here if they did. We have more contemporary equipment and things. I kind of thought about it. Maybe it took 5 or 6 years to get to a point where I think I'm going to try that. And I think Dale had a big encouragement with me at that time.
And I said, well, I'd like to plant some, just enough to have for all my kids. The wheat grew up beautiful, just like this field behind us.
It can be grown here, and that gave me a certain idea that, I'd grown it once and it was good, why not try it again?
Then Ed and I started thinking about that we should really raise some wheat, and ended up planting the 2.5 acres that we had last year.
We really wanted to promote it for the month of October, so we had to ration it and only make so many loaves a day to make it last through the whole month. And with the results and the feedback from our customers and how well the wheat performed.
Of course, that developed into the field that we have behind us now.
I knew that Ed, whatever he set his mind to, that he could accomplish, and I had full trust and faith that if he said it would work, even though I was still skeptical, I said, okay, let's give it a try.
Well, I've learned that watch out what you try, it might work. And this is working.
I've always really enjoyed pushing the envelope, and like Ed, I like it when people tell me I can't do something. So I'm just really excited that we were able to figure it out.
Danny, he's one of a kind. I grew up where there was dry land farming. Water was a problem, and Danny is so up on things, and it really has amazed me.
I am Dan Jones, and I am a farmer. I started when I was 5 years old helping on the farm. Dale was probably the mastermind of how to grow it, what to grow it, where to grow it, when to grow it, and I just do the work that I think I know how to do. You never know what's going to happen, weather conditions, hail. We're still learning what this wheat does and how it adapts to Ohio weather.
It's very tall, but they're like dancers. You marvel over it.
Rain, wind, hail, almost anything will bend it over. But unlike normal wheat, this is so tall it doesn't go clear to the ground, and you can still get under it and harvest it. And for some reason, it stands back up after one of those events.
Whereas a conventional wheat berry, really in all honesty, tastes kind of bland. If you taste one of these little wheat berries behind me, I just tasted one a few moments ago, it really comes through, but to the bread, it's even more magnified with that sweet, nutty flavor.
It's glorious, the way that it looks in the field, the way that it blows in the wind, and it harkens you back to old America, you know, when America was in its infancy and that amber waves of grain, and it's very moving, and the flavor's amazing. Just eating the berries out here today, I'm excited for the bread because it just tastes so good.
It is an amazing bread flour. When you think about it being going back into biblical times, and that wheat's been transported all over the world.
It is just so gorgeous, and to see that big a field just sort of reminds me of what I grew up with all the time.
Once it's harvested, it needs to be taken to a mill.
You can't just take it to the elevator like you can a normal wheat. You got to find a market for it. You got to find somebody that wants to mill it and somebody that wants to use it to bake.
Here it is, it's a success. It's got to be harvested, and then the real work comes, making this become a loaf of bread.
Allen Davis Insurance Agency in Wapakoneta and Minster is your solutions provider. You can trust the experienced professionals at Allen Davis Insurance to protect your assets. Call today and start saving money with multi-policy discounts and more for auto, home, life, business, recreational, total farm protection, and more. Call Allen Davis Insurance Agency in Wapakoneta and Minster. We are your solutions provider. Call 1-800-686-2148. S&S Volvo is your locally owned heavy-duty truck dealership in the area with a full line of Volvo and Isuzu trucks. We offer Volvo, Isuzu, Cummins, and GM parts and service weekdays until midnight until 4:30 p.m. on Saturdays. We also have leasing and rental options to meet your needs. We have the expertise to get and keep you on the road. Stop by at 2600 St. John's Road or visit us at ssvolvo.com to see our wide selection of new and used truck inventory. United Equity Inc. is your locally owned farm-based cooperative. For agronomic services, we offer seed and a full line of dry and liquid fertilizer, as well as soil sampling by soil type, grid, or management zone to best utilize your fertilizer application. Call us to discuss agronomic services customized for you. Reach your best yields with United Equity, serving Allen, Auglaize, Mercer, Putnam, and Van Wert counties. Visit us on the web at unitedequityinc.com.
Ed contacted us a couple months ago about his turkey red wheat and wanted to know if we could grind it for him for Dorothy Lane Market. And I said, of course we can. We have a water-powered mill here that grinds the wheat. And so far, it looks like it's going to be some great wheat. My name is Terry Clark, and I am the master miller at Bears Mill. I grind about 100,000 pounds of grain a year. I repair the turbines, work on the dam. We have 35 acres that we take care of. Most of it's water. Our mill race, which is a canal, it's 10 feet deep, 25 feet across, 800 feet long, hand dug by school kids, 50 cents a day, 1847 and 48. And then 1862, they put in a turbine that operates the burr stone. And the burr stone came from France in 1848 that Gabriel Bear traveled to France to get. 1884, the roller mills were invented to feed the masses of people. But with the roller mills, the grain is crushed between two steel rollers, and steel to steel automatically overheats and kills your vitamins and minerals. But if you keep a slow, constant feed of grain in the burr stone, you'll have a good, wholesome product. With wheat, the stones are only the width of the grain apart from each other, and these stones weigh 2 tons. The grain goes into the center of the stone, centrifugal force throws it to the outside, and it goes around and down to the bagger. I'll be grinding about 1,000 pounds of turkey red wheat today and tomorrow morning. To bring in a grain like this that we haven't seen ever is fantastic. To be grinding something that has been handed down over generations, and it's still feeding the people, just like the mill. The mill was built to feed the people, and it's still doing that today.
The bakers were excited about it. I think that as, like myself, they were a little skeptical that this was going to work. But I gotta tell you, the first batch we did turned out excellent, and they had a lot of fun with it. And I think they were kind of sad to see the flour run out last year, and they're looking forward to this year's crop to see how it performs.
My passion here at Dorothy Lane Market is being able to take these raw ingredients, these ancient grains, these flours, such simple ingredients, and turn them into great looking and great tasting products. My name is Travis Weller. I am the Artisan Bread Bakehouse Manager here at Dorothy Lane Market. I love being able to do the science and the math to figure it out to, this is my artistic release. I want to highlight the flavors, the textures that this grain brings without overshadowing it with other ingredients. This year, when we had a bigger field, we went from that 2 acres to the 10 acres this year. They had enough flour to mill it a couple different ways. So now this year, again, I get to try making new products with it. So here in our bread shop, 8 people daily, from our mixers to our benchers to our bakers, make this bread for us. They're the ones who are developing the flavors, crust, crumbs. There's a lot of time and effort every day that goes into these breads to create such a wonderful product. When you pick a loaf of bread off the shelf, there was a lot of love and care that went into it. Everything's shaped by hand. Our bakers bake it fresh every night for you. This is as good as it gets.
I think we're just hitting the tip of it with growing something local that can be made into bread locally and enjoyed by local people.
Doing something unique, bringing an ancient grain out of the ground and locally and making bread DLM with it for our customers is pretty cool. But the big picture, we're in the food business, but I think we're also in the people business more so.
The most meaningful thing to me about this is absolutely Dale, because this has meant so much to him. It's so beyond wheat. It's about people, and that's the true awesome part about it for me.
Never in my wildest dreams. And especially this. And it's just not my normal thing. That never have I been in a spotlight, you might say.
This represents a certain amount of courage, a certain amount of setting yourself apart from other people in the food industry. It's a story, it's very unique. It's not supposed to be grown in Ohio, and we are doing it. So there's a positive drive. Why would you do that? Well, you're driven to do it.
Ed keeps me going all the time. And I love it. I love our relationship. It's meant a lot.
I never thought this was even possible to do. We've never done anything to this magnitude. I think this is the future of artisan bread.
I would say that this ranks as one of the true highlights of my professional career, for sure. I think this is the beginning of something huge, and I'm very grateful for Ed and Danny and Dale and this crazy adventure.
S&S Volvo is your locally owned heavy-duty truck dealership in the area with a full line of Volvo and Isuzu trucks. We offer Volvo, Isuzu, Cummins, and GM parts and service weekdays until midnight until 4:30 p.m. on Saturdays. We also have leasing and rental options to meet your needs. We have the expertise to get and keep you on the road. Stop by at 2600 St. John's Road or visit us at ssvolvo.com to see our wide selection of new and used truck inventory.
My name is Matt Stroud. I'm a product agronomist at DuPont Pioneer, covering Southern Ohio and part of West Virginia. My role at Pioneer consists of selecting new products for our portfolio advancing corn and soybean hybrids, and then working with our sales reps and account manager teams for agronomy training and product information. So as a product agronomist, I select varieties for my territory, and seeing those varieties go from an experimental product all the way into the marketplace is very satisfying and gratifying for me. I see those products from early stage, learn a lot about them, and then teach my sales reps and farmers about them, and it's very fun to watch them have success with those products. There's a lot of careers involved in the field of agriculture. You can be an agronomist, you can be a salesperson, you can be a seed scientist, you can be a research scientist. You can do a lot of things in the actual field work. You could be a farmer, you could be a marketing person or something like that, information technology, any of those things.
Some of the careers that would involve high oleic soybeans would be scientists and researchers, farmers and agronomists, someone who works at a grain handling facility or possibly an oil processor, all the way to a food scientist and even a chef. Between 2013 and 2016, DuPont Pioneer has committed to hire an additional 4,000 people worldwide. The majority of these roles are going to be in research and in our science laboratories. There may be other roles in our marketing, agronomy, sales divisions as well, and even information technology.
Some prefer to invest in fields halfway around the world, in short-term solutions to long-term challenges. At POET, we're investing in the fields we have right here at home, cultivating communities and growing the local economy, creating new local jobs while we create worldwide energy solutions, helping family farms grow even as they fuel the world, because we know that investing in a community can pay global dividends. See the world differently with POET.
He loves his God, his kids, his wife. For them, he gladly give his life. He served his country as many do, and he came home with a love tattoo.
I remember when the soldier walked past. He paused as he heard a young child ask, "Where'd you get that scar I see on you?" He smiled and said, "It's not a scar, it's my love tattoo." The soldier said, "To keep our world more safe for you, I fought and bled as many do.
I did what I knew I had to do. No, it's not a scar, it's my love tattoo. My love tattoo is a symbol to remind him how we fought with pride for our red, white, and blue.
If Uncle Sam asked him to stand with our soldiers in some foreign land, he'd unpack his uniform and combat boots,
and with honor bring back home a new love tattoo.
My love tattoo helps me recall some of my friends who gave their all.
They fought and died as many do, so I'm proud to wear my love tattoo. He loves his God, his kids, his wife. For them, he gladly give his life.
And he served his country like heroes do.
And he came home with a love tattoo. Yes, he came home with a love tattoo.
Closed captioning paid for in part by the following. Are you looking to buy or sell farmland? Then work with a company that works for you. Ron Spencer Real Estate. Founded in 1975, Ron Spencer specializes in farmland, agricultural, and commercial real estate. Check him out on the web with 3 locations to serve you. Ron Spencer Real Estate at rsre.com. That's rsre.com. Hey, that's going to do it for this week's edition of In Ohio Country Today. We want to thank our friends at Dorothy Lane Market in Dayton, Ohio, and Ed Hill for bringing us this great story about turkey red wheat. If you want more information about that, always check them out on the web at DorothyLane.com. And we also want to thank Richard Lynch and the Richard Lynch Band for helping us honor veterans here in the Buckeye State with his hit song, Love Tattoo. For more information about this week's show, always check us out on the web at inohiocountry.com. Like us on Facebook and check out our YouTube channel. Have a good day, everybody.